Hello, welcome on How to Practice Scales. I get asked this question so much by students, by parents, sometimes by other teachers. How do you encourage your students to practice their scales? So I thought I would do a little small talk and just to show you some basics on how to do it.
Hello, this is the first appearance of the Stage Talent Editor. I'm just here to tell you to subscribe. It's free and it costs you no money. Thank you.
For starters, I think it's important that we remove any jewellery that we have. So for me, I'm going to remove my watch. I've already removed any rings because I find if I'm playing the piano, it distracts me. I don't want anything that's going to distract me on my hands. I want them to be free. Next, make sure that you have the posture correct. So when you are sitting, you want a nice straight back. You don't want to have any slouching, but you don't want to overstretch. You just want to be nice and straight. If your hands are at the piano, you want to have a bit of distance between you and the piano. So you don't want to be too close. You don't want to be here. You look like a little T-Rex, yeah? And you don't want to be so far out that you're having to stretch, because again, that's going to slouch your back. Yeah, just somewhere in the middle. As you get taller, as you grow, this position, how close you sit to the piano or how high or how low will change, okay? So keep an eye on it. Fingers should be bent. Yeah, so you have this nice natural arch. Yeah, so when you're doing up and down, it will be nice and easy for you. You have lots and lots of space. Now, when people hear scales, they want to go super fast. They want to go. And that's what they envisage, and they go, there, done, I'm good to go. But no, that's not what the scales are there for. That's not what we do them. I'm going to start with how to do them for the young beginners, and then I'll take us through and through. If someone hasn't played scales before, it's good if they know what it means. So scales comes from the Latin word scales, which means stairs or steps. So I always say to my little ones, if these were steps and you're going up and down the steps, yeah, and it would be exercise if you were doing that, and it's exactly the same for the fingers. It is exercise for our fingers. We're going up and down with our fingers. We start with a simple 1 octave. 1 octave means 8 notes, like the word octopus, number 8. So from C to C and back again. I'm going to start with the major scales. They are the happy sounding lot, okay? Now, 8 notes, and I get the children, I say, can you count how many notes are there from C to C? And they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. How many fingers do we have, including our thumb? And they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh dear, we have a problem. We have 8 notes, but only 5 fingers which we can play with. So straight away, we need to have a plan, because we can't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can't do that and go over. So we need to think of something. So rule number 1, do a little bit of maths. We're going to resolve this by splitting it up. We're going to split up the 8. We're going to do a 3 and a 5. Okay, so we played the first 3 notes. And then instead of continuing, we're going to make our thumb go under this bridge. So if your hand is naturally curved like a bridge, I like you to bring your thumb under to the next note, and then bring the rest of the hand with 1 finger on top of each note, and you can go all the way to number 5, right? What I normally see for someone doing this the first time is that they do the first 3 beautifully. They got the position, they got these, the right height, the right everything, and they go 1, 2, 3, and then does this. Whoa. Okay. And as they're playing, you would get this, which causes unevenness. That is not what we want. When we are playing the scales, we want every note to be even. So they have to be the same length, the same volume, the same sound quality as the previous note and as the following note. And if we're doing this, if we're lifting our wrist like that, that's not going to help. You will make some notes longer, some louder, some less smooth or more detached. It's not going to help. So how can we avoid that? Make sure if you are a parent, you can pick that up. You can watch. It's not that hard. You can see if they're doing this, And usually their body goes forward as well when they do that, because they're trying to anticipate it. And you can say to your child, ooh, remember what we have to do. Very simple solution. Make sure that you have them round, because if you have your fingers flat, of course you are then going to have to do that. But if you start with round fingers, next step is bend your thumb. So like bending it like that. So instead of trying to go like that, you bend it first and then go under the bridge. So that's all you need to do. 1, 2, 3, bend your thumb, go under. That way you haven't had to overdo it. Okay? And then coming back from that number 5, from that top C where you ended up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you go over the bridge with your middle finger on the next note, which is E. Okay, and you want to encourage your students or your children, or if you are a student yourself, encourage yourself to keep it absolutely even. And it helps if you start by doing it slowly. And back down, over the bridge. There you go. Nice and easy. You'll do exactly the same with their left hand. So when they are beginning, I get them to start on middle C and they go this way only because it is the same pattern. So they can do 1, 2, 3 and then under the bridge again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3 under the bridge and then back up again and over the bridge with number 3. Now, if they can do it slow, do not encourage them to go fast. We're not looking for speed. Remember, remind your children what are the elements we're looking for. We're looking for even tone, even length, smoothness. So you want them to play legato, same volume for each of the notes. And if they're having to think of all these things, they're not going to speed up. If they feel really confident, then you can try it hands together. We call this contrary motion because the hands go in opposite direction to each other. So they're being contrary, they're going against each other. Just keep it for 1 octave again and you go 1 hand, 2, 3. You're going to have both thumbs sharing middle C. So 1, 2, 3. Again, both thumbs will go under and back again. Okay, when they master this, you can then turn it into a game. I tend to ask my students or my children if they can play it with their eyes closed. So I let them find their C. And then I say, are you ready? You've got your 1 finger above every note? Yeah, okay. Close your eyes. And then they'll close their eyes and they'll try 1, 2, 3 under the bridge. This is a really good game because it's helping to reinforce the muscle memory. So they're having to rely on their hands, remembering the geography, remembering how far to stretch or how little to stretch. They're also relying on their auditive skills, which means they're listening out. They can't see it anymore. They don't have the distraction of looking. So they have to rely on their listening skills and they're checking the whole time if they've got even sound or not. And instead of you saying, oh, you could have done better, you can ask them, well, how did you think that went? Do you think it was even enough? Do you think you need to do it again? And let them decide. This way they are taking ownership of it. These are the scales for the beginners. Once your children start to learn other scales and they need to go more than 1 octave, so say for grade 1, you would need to go 2 octaves. It becomes very, very easy. We keep the same pattern, so we go 3, 4, 3, 4 again. So we're not doing an octave, we're doing 2 octaves. So if you think of the musical alphabet, you have 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si, if you're using the Kodali system. There's only 7, so you split it in a group of 3 and then a group of 4. So you have 3, 4, 3, 4. When you're ready to finish, you just pop in your little finger. So if I'm doing the scale of C major for 2 octaves, I would go group of 3, so 1, 2, 3. I go under the bridge, group of 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. My next group of 3, 1, 2, 3, another 4. Now I'm ready to finish. I drop in the little finger, my number 5. And make my way back. Again, I have 4, so starting with 4, 3, 2, 1. I go over the bridge with number 3. over again with number 4 and 3. Again, this is easy to remember, it's just pattern. So you're thinking 3, 4, 3, 4. You only bring in the little finger when you're ready to finish, and then back again. You reinforce it with the left hand. You can do it hands together, contrary motion. It's easy. This is the scales for beginners. Now, as you go on, you want to try them doing scales hands together in a similar motion. So both hands going up, both hands coming down. And again, it's going to be tricky because your left hand now is starting with finger 5. You're starting with, I'm sticking to the scale of C major. So we're starting with C. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whereas your right hand is going to do 1, 2, 3, and it goes under 1, 2. So first thing we need to practice is that the hands are not always going to do the same thing, the fingers. We can use different fingers. So we got the same pitch, same notes, but we don't have the same fingers. So first practice, go all the way to F and back again. So you would go 1, 2, 3, bring your thumb under and back again. And then encourage them to do these hands together. Left hand is just going 5, 4, 3, 2 and back 3, 4, 5. Easy peasy. Once they've done that a couple of times, then you can try adding one more note. So now the right hand is going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then back to 1 and over. Whereas your left hand is going all the way to the thumb and back again. Should sound like this. Under the bridge. Once your children have got this, then it's easy, you add one more note. This time it's going to be the left hand, because left hand is down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it needs to go over the bridge with finger number 3, with the middle finger. So 1, 2, 3, right hand goes under, and left hand goes over, and then back down. And encourage your children, encourage your students, encourage yourself to do that over and over until you feel confident. Once you've got it, going the next few notes is easy, because then right hand is just going to go all the way, say, to number 5. Over for the left, and under, and over for the right. Okay, these are some tips on how to practice the scales. If you can get the turns, then it doesn't matter if it's 1 octave or 2 octaves or 3 or 4. It's always the same principle. It doesn't matter if you have a C major scale or if you have a scale with sharps, for example, B major with all of the sharps, the 5. So F, C, G, D, A with the black keys. Children love it usually when you start playing black keys. They go, oh yeah, I want to play the black keys. You always have the same pattern most of the time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you stick to those patterns. Sometimes they may need to change. Instead of 3 plus 4, you might do 4 and then 3, depending on what your position is. Or you might start with the finger 3 and then turn. But it's patterns. It's always patterns. It's 3, 4, 3, 4. So for B major, you will start on B and you have all of the black keys. For me, I encourage the children to play the left hand here with thumb. So then they turn immediately with their 3, so they do their group of 3. And then turn with 4, so they do their group of 4. Okay, but you can start with number 4 as long as they remember that they have to go over with 4 again. Up to you, you can have some fun. Then you can do things like now, one thing I notice here is, this is more with children than grown-ups, but when they're playing scales for 1 octave or 2 octaves, it's fine because they don't need to move. They can keep their posture, they keep their body straight, they don't move from their position, so they would just do. What happens then when they have to go 3 octaves or 4 octaves, so they're starting lower and going higher, and then it looks like this. I don't know if you notice, but there's some unevenness now in my playing. Why? Because it's really tricky if you're going to keep your body in the same position to keep playing up there. So this arm is having to stretch a long way. So it's not going to be so easy, or if this arm is coming down here to reach the lower notes. So therefore, use your body. Who says you should only play with your fingers? We use the whole body. So if you're going to start lower, then tilt to one side a little bit. And then come back towards the center, and then encourage them to tilt the other way. Back towards the center. And again, you're tilting the other way. So you are using your body to help you. There's no rule that says that you can't. It's quite the opposite. We play with our whole body, not just our hands. So for that reason, feet reaching the floor does help. So then you are grounded. Oh, here comes the word grounded. So you are grounded. You have your feet on the floor. Then you can go up and you can go down. These are the rules. Remember to stay slow. Practice your turns. And then once you've got that, aim for other things. See if you can play smooth all the way, or you can play staccato. When playing staccato, it's not about, you don't need to use your whole arm. You just need to separate the notes. So actually you need to do the opposite of what you're thinking. Keep it nice and light. Right? And that will help you. Even if you go a bit faster, that helps you. So it's not about being heavy. It's just about being nice and light. Let the fingers do the work. They already know what they're doing. Yes? And legato should be nice and smooth. If you're playing legato, think where you are. Think where you want to go. And think where you want to come back. And if you visualize this sort of semi-circle, I think it helps, certainly. So when we start, I make the children place their hands here, and I say, have a look to how far you're going to go. And I see their head go, ooh. And I say, have you drawn your circle? So you're just keeping the end in mind. Once they're here, then the semicircle goes back the other way. So you're trying to keep your focus, your aim on where you're going to finish, not on every single note and every single turn. That you will already have it. So then you will go. Yes, and it gives you that shape, that nice shape. Thank you for watching.